This episode of Walt Disney World Today is sponsored by MEI and Mousefan Travel, who specialize in cruises and vacation packages to Disney and other destinations around the world. MEI and Mousefan Travel are authorized Disney vacation planners and the recommended travel planner for allears.net. They provide their signature services with no additional agency fees. So to get a no-obligation quote, just visit www.mousefantravel.com.
This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Wednesday, August 29th, 2007, and this is episode 302 of Walt Disney World Today. I'm Matt Hodgford from MGMstudios.org. On the show today, we have the sixth member of the Wabos. It's Len Testa of the Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World. Welcome, Len.
How's it going, Matt?
Do you see a theme developing here, Len?
I like it. Let's continue that throughout the entire Van Halen tour.
There you go. That'll be pretty short, so I won't have to worry about that.
Yeah, it's 2 more shows, yeah.
Also on the show today is Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. Mike, does this show stink yet?
Well, no, it hasn't started yet.
Okay.
Give it another minute.
There's still time. And we also have Mike Scopa of MousePlanet.com and All Ears Net. Welcome, Michael.
He's a know-nothing. You tell him.
Now it stinks.
No, Hall of Presidents.
What was that, Newell?
Hey.
I said now it stinks.
No, it's great.
Just like we planned, Mike, huh? Yeah.
Sorry, Mike. I'm sorry. I'm having a lot of fun at Old Key West tonight.
Newell takes no prisoners when he insults on the show.
Yeah, it's very rare, but when I do, look out.
On today's show, we're answering questions because it's Wednesday, and that's what we do on Wednesdays. And we'll start with a question from Amy from Kentucky, who writes, "Hi guys, my name is Amy, and I am addicted to Walt Disney World today. My family currently has a trip scheduled for April 17th through April 26th, 2008.
Woohoo.
I have been reading all the boards, and I'm confused about the crowd levels may be like during these dates next year. Easter falls in March, so I'm hoping that the spring break crowds will be pretty much over by our trip. I figured that with all the Unofficial Guide knowledge floating around in Len's head, you might be able to help clear this up."
Yeah, I think that's probably going to be true. The March is just going to be crazy in Walt Disney World, but I think by the time you get to the end of April, what were the exact dates?
April 17th through April 26th, which is my fiance's birthday.
Yeah, the Thursday the 17th might be a little bit crowded because you've got some schools in the Northeast who are finishing up spring break. But after that, from the weekend on, you're looking at average to below average crowds.
What kind of numbers are we looking at, Len?
6s, 7s, a couple 5s.
Okay.
I mean, 6.5 is average, right? The only thing you have to watch out too, though, is a couple grad nights, maybe in the Magic Kingdom on that Friday, Saturday. But you'll be fine.
Cool. Next email is from John Wolf of Aberdeen, New Jersey. You guys remember him from Magic Meets?
Oh.
John writes, "Hey guys, it's great to meet you at Magic. It was great to meet you at Magic Meets. Len, your talk was very funny. Don't forget that you are Len Testa, and you should drop your name whenever you think it might help you out."
That's right. I'm Lou Mangello.
I have two questions.
Test
The first
everybody.
being for Scopa. Can you suggest a place to eat the night before the marathon? And what might you suggest to have as a meal?
Well, I can tell you that I have eaten at Chef Mickey's the night before, and a lot of people will eat beef the night before at Trail's End. Those are the two most popular places that I can recall people going to. You got to be really careful, though. I mean, there are people who have certain routines when they run marathons. I don't know how Len approaches this, but I know that I need to eat light before I'm going to do a marathon, so I try to eat like at least 12 hours before I'm going to run. So,
where did I eat this last time? It was Alfredo's, and I did really well. So I had some pasta and walked around Epcot, and I did really well. I've also eaten at California Grill, which wasn't bad. The interesting thing, like, I don't know if Trails End does this, but like a lot of the monorail resort hotels had special dinner menus for the marathon weekend. Did you find that?
right. Yeah, a lot of them, they'll put they'll add a pasta dish to their entree, a special, like almost every sit-down restaurant will offer something like that, because they realize there are thousands of people who are planning to run on, and they do that for that whole weekend, I believe.
So
John,
they
also,
offer blood transfusions, steroid injections. Usually, the basic stuff, right?
Blood doping.
Blood, exactly.
that'd be the Boston Red Sox theory of.
Oh,
Take that.
man.
John's second question is: what do each of you think of the Star Wars ride, Star Tours in the Disney MGM Studios? Love the show.
I don't throw up on it anymore.
You threw up on it?
Oh my god, I hate that ride. Not on it, but shortly thereafter.
Really?
It's just I get motion sickness on simulators. It's because the your body isn't moving exactly the same way that your eyes are seeing the screen move. It's slightly out of sync.
Translation: Len is trying to get out of my Star Tours meet, which is on
Exactly.
which is on 2 to 3 p.m. at Star Tours, which is going to be on Friday, December 7th, 2007. So be there. Anyway, continue.
It will live.
You know how you can get away from doing? You know how you can take care of that, Len, when you're on those simulators? Instead of throwing up, why don't you just simulate throwing up?
Noel, what do you think of Star Tours?
Star Tours is the exact amount of time I could spend in that. If it was a minute longer, I'd be with Len, with our heads in the basket. But that's
I enjoyed it. I think it's fun, but I never get sick on it. Body Wars, I could see that. That was really tricky.
well, Body Wars
Body
makes
Wars
me
is
sick.
terrible.
Body Wars makes
Man,
me
I went
sick
on that.
because of I don't like blood or any of that stuff to begin with.
Yeah, I mean it's just a bad scene.
It's a
bad
neat
scene, man.
idea, but it's just ugh.
That scene, man.
Good thing is that they're using that the whole building for food and wine this year. So
So eat some food, drink some wine, then go on Body Wars.
There you go.
no, they're going to gut the whole thing. So
Puking of me.
And don't forget,
that was good.
don't forget Friday, December 7th, 2 to 3 p.m. Next email is from Ryan Heath of Galesburg,
plugs over
Illinois,
here.
who writes, "Hey, Matt, Mike Squared, and His Majesty Testa. I realize this probably won't make it on a show before our trip, August 5th to August 9th, but that doesn't.
He's
That's
right.
He's right.
But wait, but that's partially my fault for not sending this out a year in advance. Oh, damn.
Can't get out of
Anyway.
it.
Does it ever get dark enough at the Lake Buena Vista Zoo, read Animal Kingdom, to make a ride of Expedition Everest at night worthwhile?
Yeah, I mean during the winter months when it gets dark at 5:30, then they've got extra magic hours till. I mean, parks can close at 5, but when they've got extra magic hours till 8, it's certainly dark enough.
And he also, by the way, how long are Animal Kingdom's extra magic hours extended? Is it 2 or 3 hours?
3.
3. Yeah, it's 3 for all.
During evening extra magic hours during the winter, Holly River Rapids and the Kilimanjaro safaris might not be open of all 3 hours.
Okay. Ryan also wants to know, it seems that Epcot is trying to turn back the clock and revert to its original intentions. The wine is coming down, Leave a Legacy sales have stopped, and the booths have been cleared out. And now there's talk of taking down the purple and silver wind tarp above the Central Plaza and Innovations. Even Jay Rasulo, the main guy who was anti-Epcot 25th, even mentioned it briefly. What do you guys think about all these changes? Personally, I'm thrilled that there might be a smidgen of hope in terms of going back to the original design. I'm also taking 2 days of school off to make a 4-day weekend trip down there from September 29th to October 2nd.
Oh, cool. So he's going to be there for the 25th.
Yep.
I like the changes. I think taking down the wand was a great idea. Although I did speak to an Imagineer at Tiki Fest who thought it looked good. I think the Leave a Legacy blocks were out of place. I'd love to see them do something with water and plants in the beginning. I think that would be great.
Be really
Maybe
cool.
some chrome. It would, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
If I can, Len, I'd like to refer rather to our Epcot aficionado, Mike Newell.
Yes, I totally.
What do you think of this?
Well, I was never a fan of the wand from day one. I thought it was awful, and the stars on top of it. I'm glad those are gone too.
And extra magic hours for the camera shop, right?
Of course, they should have a separate entrance.
Separate entrance, camera shop this side.
That's right.
A hard ticket event.
Thanks for the great show and hard work that goes into it. I really appreciate everything you do for us, the listeners. And if I ever see any of you in the parks after October 19th, my 21st birthday, I'll be more than happy to buy you all a round of drinks, or if it's in the Magic Kingdom, Dole Whips. P.S.
That's awesome.
The last thing I want to do is make fun of everyone, so I'll keep this anonymous. I randomly messaged a certain member of the show through Facebook and saw that one of their favorite books was Jurassic Park. Yet this person doesn't care for dinosaur. Ironic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Len, is that
Scope,
you?
I can't believe you did that.
Busted.
Next email is from Pat, who's the host of the Walk in a Park podcast. who writes, "Hello, Walt Disney World gurus. I have 2 questions. First off, I'm going to be a college graduate in 2 weeks and will be banished to the real world in an effort to escape this. Me and my roomies are planning a trip to the world for a long weekend in January. My first question is, if there are 4 of us coming from 4 different airports but staying in the same room, can we all use Magical Express?"
How many people?
4.
Yeah, why couldn't they?
Yeah, it's not a problem. I've used Magical Express with me and my fiance, and she lives in Georgia. I live in Connecticut.
They're all being picked up at one spot, so it shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, it's not a problem.
Yeah. I mean, if their names are on the room.
Yep. My second question is about how much would it cost to drink around the world at Epcot, and what would be the adult beverages not to be missed? It's like $8 a drink.
Yeah, it's like $8 or $9 a pop. So you're looking at around $100.
Yeah.
Per person.
Yeah.
Unless you land, then it's $200.
Yeah, because I can double fist stuff.
Yeah, Len's got the iron liver.
For me, it's going to cost you $8.
I started drinking later in life, so my liver isn't nearly as damaged as some others.
The one drink that I like, the Fiesta Margarita in Mexico. It's a combination of all 3 flavors, 3 or 4, and they just smush them all together, and it's really a crowd pleaser. Any other drinks that come to mind?
I like the Black and Tan at the UK.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Almost had that last night. Almost had that.
So you end up having sarsaparilla?
Oh, I forgot. They're calling it root beer now.
They're calling it root beer now. I'm going to join the boys down there.
There's a nice beer in China. I forget what it's called, but it's really nice.
Sing Sour.
I forget what it's
called. Yeah, I think so. Pat also writes, also after drinking around the world, I plan on playing some cruel jokes on my unsuspecting buddies, like fooling them into having some Beverly and sending them on mission space.
You won't be able to, if you drink around the world, you're not going to be able to do much of anything except throw up on your friends. You're not really gonna...
Next email is from Brian Ripper, host of the All About the Mouse Disney podcast. Hey guys, I was just listening to your last few shows on ticket options and where to stay, and I started wondering why I don't ever really hear you mention the seasonal pass that is available to Florida residents. I know there are a lot of discounts available, and it would take too long to mention all of them on the show, but I felt this is definitely deserves a mention. For anyone who may not know about the seasonal pass, it's only available to Florida residents. It's basically an annual pass with blackout dates. The blackout dates are generally during the busiest days of the year when most Florida residents prefer not to be in the parks anyway, and only lasts for a couple of weeks at a time, with the exception of summer when it lasts just over 2 months. The seasonal pass can save people anywhere from $100 to $200 per person, and you get a lot of the same benefits and discounts that you would with the annual pass. My wife and I have used these for the past few years and really enjoyed it until recently, as my love for Disney has made me crazy enough to actually want to be in the parks during the packed summer months, so we'll probably upgrade to an annual pass. But this could be a really great option for people living in Florida. I love the show and think you guys do a great job. I mean, the other problem with the seasonal pass is you have to pay for parking, don't you?
I don't know. I thought that a seasonal pass is similar to an annual pass in that you do get free parking at the parks. Good question.
I thought you had to pay for parking. I could have sworn for some reason. Len,
I'm going to say no, Matt, because I have a friend who lives here in New England who has a seasonal pass from Florida, and she does not pay. So I'm going with that. Yeah.
So wait, she does not pay for parking or does pay for parking?
She does not pay for parking, and she has a seasonal annual pass, I believe.
Yeah, I would think you would not have to do that, right?
Okay. Stand corrected. Next email is from Nick from Savannah, Georgia. Who writes, hello, gentlemen. I just want to chime in about a question that was asked on episode 263 regarding annual pass holder merchandise. The question was brought up in an earlier podcast as well. I was just in the world a couple weeks ago and went to seek out this annual pass holder merchandise because I really wanted a polo shirt to wear to work. I visited each of the locations you mentioned and was told that they had indeed phased out the shirts and the hats, but only now carried the pins. Some of the newer cast members didn't even remember the merchandise at all, but older cast members recalled it and said that they no longer carried it. Needless to say, I was very disappointed. Anyway, you guys do a great job with the show, and I love listening. Keep up the great work.
We went to one of those places because Carol wanted a shirt, and all they had was, they had next to nothing. They had little tiny children's shirts, but they used to have polo shirts. They would have regular T-shirts. They would have hats. They had pins. They just don't have that. And it's too bad because their annual pass holders are their best customers.
Yeah, but it's such a niche market. I mean,
yeah, and you have to ask for it also.
I mean, there are a few tens of thousands, a few 100,000 annual pass holders.
Don't know.
I mean, yeah, it's not a big enough market for them to worry about.
Next email is from Jonathan from Nashville, Tennessee, who writes, "Hey guys, I love your show and hope you can answer a question for me. My wife and I are planning a trip to Disney World with our 4 kids, 9 and under, and my wife's parents. We originally were planning to go this November, but family circumstances are forcing us to postpone the trip. We are currently planning on going the last week of January, early February. The biggest disappointment for me was telling my kids they weren't going to be able to go to Typhoon Lagoon because it would probably be too cold. Now I'm wondering if it'll be too cold to swim at the resort, Port Orleans, or even ride Splash Mountain. And have any of you ever ridden or have any of you ever been this time of year? Is it too cold to get wet? Please advise." I've been. I always go the first week in February. Mm-hmm. One of the water parks is closed. That's usual. One is open. There's always a few. I would not go to the water parks because I think it is too cold for that. I've been on Splash Mountain. It's fine. The water cannons are off. Those are the cannons that when a thing goes, when one of the logs goes down, nothing spritz back up because that doesn't actually happen. That's a man-made effect. And so I mean, it's not that bad, especially if you sit.
Splash Mountain's fine, yeah.
Yeah, if you sit in the 3rd or 4th row, and there'll be no line for it, so even better.
As far as going swimming in the resort, I think we talked about this in a previous show, but Disney will heat the pools to around 80 degrees or so, and if your kids will want to go swimming, you're going to go swimming. I've done it. I've done it in February or in late January when it's. I've gone swimming in late January when it's like 45 degrees outside, and it was fine.
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, it's not a problem at all. I mean, you can go in the pool, like Len said, it's heated, so I mean, it's really just the water parks that I think, and it depends on the weather. Because sometimes February can be really warm, and sometimes it can be really cold. It really depends. It's hard to, but generally I would stay away from it. But bring your bathing suits. You never know.
Yeah.
Next email is from France. It's from Walter, who writes, "I know you guys focus on Orlando. I'm currently living in Paris, and we'll be going to Disneyland Paris on June 26th. Do you have a good resource or website I can check out to prepare for our trip? I've always gone to the world with the unofficial guidebook in hand, but feel a bit unprepared for this trip. Love the show. Love the unofficial guide."
Ding. Thank you. I don't know if we stopped doing the unofficial guide to Paris because it doesn't get the attention from the Disney people that like the Tokyo Park does even.
Exactly.
You know, my dream, Len, is to be the Len Testa for the Disneyland Paris, but my fiance won't go for it.
Alas.
The website, some resources that I like WDSfans.com. I'll put a link in the show notes too. That's mostly about the Walt Disney Studios over there. There's also I think it's DLP.info. That's the site, and that's all about Disneyland Paris. There's some really good resources out there, and they're in English. Both these sites. They're also in German, but you can go in there and there's some good reasons. I don't think there is a.
They're also in German.
Well, if you know, it is Disneyland Paris.
So when the Panzers come rolling down the street, they'll at least have directions on where to go. Okay.
Len, there aren't any books that you're aware of besides the defunct.
No, I'm not.
God.
Yeah, and it's sort of I wouldn't even use it right now.
Okay. You heard it first, Len. Len is recommending not to buy the unofficial guide.
What's the opposite of ding?
Dong.
Exactly.
Next email is from Kelly Trent of Dallas, Texas, who writes, "Hey guys, I know Animal Kingdom is your favorite park, but I hope you will answer my question anyway. In the unofficial guide, ding, touring plans, it suggests the first thing someone going to needs to do is get a fast pass for Expedition Everest, then ride Triceratops Spin, then Primeval Whirl. However, I've heard that the best time to do Kilimanjaro Safari is in the first thing in the morning because more animals are out then. Would it work out if we got the fast pass, then went to the safari, if we were planning on cutting out Triceratops Spin? We won't have kids, so we probably won't have to do either anyway. Would that screw up our entire plan for the day?"
So it's go to get fast passes for...
Get fast passes for Everest, and then go to the safari, and then resume touring plan.
That sounds like a good idea because you want to go to the safari early in the day, especially if it's the warmer month, so that you'll see more animals.
Len, because I know in the unofficial, I know the touring plan she's referring to, Len. You've got the safari is a little bit further down in there. It tells you to get a fast pass and then go.
It's around
back,
lunchtime, right?
Yeah. Is there a reason why you didn't have safari second?
Because you'd be crisscrossing the park. So you'd be crisscrossing the parks. It's really important to see Everest first. Here's the thing, though. We've actually sent Darcy, one of our researchers, into the park to ride during this past summer, to ride safari over and over again and count the number of animals, the type and number of animals that she sees on.
Did you really?
Honest to God. So, in fact, I'm looking.
I don't know why this surprises me, to tell you the truth, but
I'm actually looking at I have her notes in my hand right now as I'm talking.
Where does it say "I hate you, Len"?
It doesn't basically say I hate you, Len. But she did it from till 2 p.m. and I even in the rain, and I don't see any difference in either the number or the quantity of animals, in any of these notes. Like I see.
If you're thinking it's a little overrated, the whole thing about reporting.
Okay, so I haven't gone out to compare like how many ungulates you see versus how many birds, but
kudos.
Yeah, exactly. But you're seeing roughly 24 different animal species on each trip between 9 and 2 p.m. And that was in late July, early August, on many rides on the attractions. I'll go back and count the actual numbers, but I don't think there's much of a difference. And again, we talk about this in the book. I mean, Disney's got ways of making it so that the resting spots of the animals, the cool resting spots that the animals have, are in plain view of the public, right? Kind of like the
right,
like the way you like to sit out on your front porch, Hochberg, in your underwear, because that's the coolest spot in the house.
First, you had to give me a visual.
There's anything wrong with it.
And
next email is from Grant from Minneapolis, Minnesota, who writes, "Hey guys, love the show. Now to the question. On our last visit to the world in November 2005, I was in the Mouseworks store in Epcot. I think he means Mouse Gear.
Yep.
While my parents and I were waiting in line, we found a book that I really enjoyed. I can't remember the name of it, but it compared all the Magic Kingdoms around the world. They compared nice Newell. They compared the rides, lands, and castles. I was wondering if any of you know what this book is called or where I could get it. Magic Kingdoms. It compared all the Magic Kingdoms around the world. Anyone know?
Really? No.
I haven't heard of it. Len, have you found it in your travels?
There's one called A Day in Disney, which shows a day in all 4 theme parks. That might be it. And I think it has the four castles on the front cover. It's a yellow book.
Cool.
It was actually written by one of the unofficial guide, co-authored by one of the unofficial guide contributors, Pam Brandon, when she used to work for Disney. And it goes for $200 on eBay right now.
Next email is from Scott in Chicago, who writes, "My wife and I are going down to the parks in December 2007. With all the talk of Disney dining plan being so much food, someone on the live show suggested splitting a dining plan. I'm on a low-carb menu, so I can't eat most of the desserts anyway. Can this really work? Clearly, we have to buy a second meal for places like Ohana, but will the restaurants be okay with one of the two of us being on the dining plan and the other splitting the meal? Can we use 2 of the sit-down credits for 1 meal piece for us?"
Yeah, there may be a small sharing charge. I think Disney addresses this in the documentation now on the dining plan. But yeah, it's possible.
Okay. Next email is from Lisa in Chicago, who writes, "Just listen to the podcast about the dining plan. Can you make multiple ADRs for the same time and day at different restaurants? My thinking here is that you may change your mind or not want to be at a particular restaurant on time. The other ADRs can be canceled. I know this sounds sort of selfish because I would be taking up reservations that could be used by someone else. Disclaimer, not saying I would do this, just a question."
My friend is, they will, but if you use a different name and phone number.
Yeah, they won't notice it.
That's what you have to do, though, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, it is possible. The moral ethics are up to you. But,
the moral ethics. Nice.
I mean.
Immoral.
Eternity in hell or a free sandwich. Next email is from Michelle Meager, who writes, "Matt, I just stumbled upon episode 38, Unofficial Guide Stories, and at the end of the segment, you mentioned to write into the show and learn how to become your own researcher for the Unofficial Guide. My husband and I are Disney nerds and would like more information about this. By the way, we're starting to average 2 visits per year to Walt Disney World."
That's really good.
I wish we had someone who was like some sort of a research guru.
Yeah.
Episode 38.
Yeah, what was the question?
They want to know how to be a researcher.
Oh man, so it's I started off by writing a note to Bob, and that's really how it started for most people. It's you write in and you say, "Here's what I'd like to study." the way it works now, though, is, I mean, obviously, since it's the unofficial guide, lots of people write in to say that. We generally take a long look at people who have either work or research experience in a particular field that relates to either theme parks or dining or something like that. So if you
or a roadie on the Van Halen tour,
or a roadie on the right. So if you're used to abuse, and can handle all of us. The other thing is that if you're just willing to do basic research, on your own time, and then send us the results, obviously that's a way to ingratiate yourself with us and turn that into a paying gig. So write it to Bob. That's what I'd say. Unofficial guides at menasharidge.com, and see what Bob says.
Next email, Newell. Do we have time for one last email?
Yes, sure.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Sure.
Knock
Newell's on
yourself
vacation.
out.
He doesn't care.
That's right.
He's already hit stop on the recording. So it's like, sure, whatever.
I got my feet up.
Next email is from Davin, who writes, "Hi, I love the show. One of the best podcasts around. And Len, go Canes."
Yeah, thank you.
I'm going to Walt Disney World in September, mainly because of the free dining. My wife and I love the free dining, as it allowed us to try many restaurants that we would otherwise not have visited. Le Cellier and California Grill are both out of our price range normally. Anyway, I was wondering if we could splurge and try Victoria and Albert's. A recent podcast on dining touched on it. I was just curious if the restaurant is worth spending a week's worth of eating on, since we're eating on the Disney's dime, and the rest of the week it evens out.
Right. I think it's a great idea if you can get reservations. That's really, really difficult to do, though, from what I understand.
Scope, any thoughts on Victoria and Albert's?
I think it's a waste of time and money.
Really? It's supposed to be one of the best meals you'll ever have.
Well, I don't know. We'll see. I think all I said is that I think it's a waste of time and money. I mean, I haven't experienced it first time, but I just can't. I think it's 120, a minimum of $125 per person.
Oh yeah, it's insanely expensive, but it's supposed to be really good.
Yeah.
Hey, Newell, Soundboard Len really worked out this show.
You certainly did.
Shut up.
This episode of Walt Disney World Today has been sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel, who specialize in cruises and vacation packages to Disney and other vacation destinations around the world. MEI and Mouse Fan Travel is an authorized Disney vacation planner and the recommended travel planner for allears.net. They provide their signature services with no agency fees, so to get a no-obligation quote, just visit www.mousefantravel.com and ask for a net. That's it for us today. If you want to find our older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, you can visit the Walt Disney World Today website at www.wdwtoday.com. You can also email us at questions@wdwtoday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, and the vacationing Mike Newell, I'm Matt Hodgenberg. We'll see you on the next show.
Go Wildcats.
Well, okay. We're all in this together.